what I love about teaching is, I get to be encouraging. I get to be encouraging. And I know in my own life when, others have been encouraging to me, and encouraging my best self and encouraging, me to take on or do the work to, be the person I want to be and do the things I want to do. Like encouragement is just, it's always fed me and, empowered me, and then it's a way to, empower others. And there's something about encouragement where I know someone can encourage me, and if I'm not moved from the inside out about it, whatever it takes, so the encouragement is from the outside in, and then as student or just as a human being, the willingness to do the work, like do the actions, do what it is to have that intention. What I'm being encouraged in is something that I already want, and then I either stopped or I'm moved from the inside to kind of do what it takes. And usually when I'm encouraged to do something I want that I haven't done before, or it's kind of what's next for me, there's some fear there. Yeah, because it's the unknown. I haven't done it before. Probably not going to be very good at it. Could fail. Could look foolish. All the stuff that, that comes along with fear. And it takes courage. It just always seems like, to confront fear, to take on fear myself, it's going to take some courage. And I know as a teacher, if I'm encouraging someone else, it's going to be somewhere for them to do the work. It's going to take some courage on that individual's part. Yeah, like it's just courage is a part of it. And that's what it is to encourage. Yeah, encourage, yeah? Encourage. So it's to be encouraged. So as a teacher, most of them, giving some tool or some practice and then getting them encouraged to do it. And if someone's supporting me and giving me some good advice or pointing a way, and that's encouraging, well, what I'm getting to when it's really real encouragement means the presence of courage, or courage made present. Like somehow got to the guts, the courageousness to do the thing. As Emerson said, do the thing and you will have the power. Just do the thing. And then then there's some fear between the thing to do, you want to do, and there's fear. So it's going to take some courage to, walk through that ring of fear to get to the creative self, speaking to Shiva, to see through the illusion of fear, that fear, possibly, fear's real, and then there's real fear, fear based in real things that can happen, and then there's fear that's just imagined. What's, the fear, what's that thing, F-E-A-R? What is it? False evidence appearing real. So just, to distinguish two worlds, right? Real, and then there's false, that occurring as real, just in how we view something, So you've had that experience. It's like you do a pose. How many of you came to yoga practice, you did some pose or did something that you didn't think or believed you could do? Raise your arm if you had that. Or you were stronger than you thought you were, or more flexible, or more capable, and you're like, well, you're surprised and delighted. And it wasn't based in reality. It was like some belief, some imagination, and it's like an assumption, but it lives as real in fear. So that's where it takes some courage. So, okay, why am I saying all this? To encourage, to be moved. So the theme today, from the inside out to the world. To be moved by what you're inspired by, and from the inside out. And what I say, and what I'm encouraging you into here is courage. The courage to, be with your practice, like on the mat. So it's practice. We get to be on the mat and be in action in our body, embodied intentionality. So you're like being courageous. It's so amazing, again, how the asana is like the metaphor and to who you are and how you are in life. So you'll see your mental blocks or fears, that they're right there. The I can'ts that come up in like a pose will come up in some work situation or some interaction or something you want to do in life off the mat. It's that same I can't. It's like we're stopped by it. The other side of this is, where are we if we have something we're up to? So I'm speaking to the first principle, the first organizing principle of True North alignment, which is be intentional, the physical foundation of True North alignment present, and be up to something bigger than yourself. So I'm speaking right now to being up to something bigger. So if it's something bigger than what? So, well, let's just consider. So perhaps we have a box. We imagine we live our box. We have boundaries. Yeah, we all have boundaries. Let's say when you're born, we're all born into like an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And then, with over years and experiences and things happening, we start putting, little boundaries in that Olympic pool. Just maybe something bad happens. We're like, oh, I'm never going to let that happen again, so put a boundary there. And another thing, we go through phases and we learn how to be, successful in life, so don't do certain things and got to do things this way. Boundaries. And pretty soon, a lot of that Olympic-sized pool is all boundaried up, walled up, and we end up with whatever space we end up with. But let's say it's limited to what's available to us, the whole Olympic-sized pool. I've had the experience at points in my life of being like cornered in that Olympic-sized pool, cornered in. And then, having an opportunity to do some work to like free up some of those walls, because those walls that we're putting up to, protect myself, whatever, like out of fear, well, those walls were also keeping me locked in. So I just want to say, consider there's a certain periphery you work inside of in every pose. And then there are beliefs and evidence to support that. It should be inside of that. And then consider this, it's fixed, though. Maybe it's a little malleable around those edges, but still like that. So when we speak to up to something bigger, it's going to be a creative act. And it's going to take some courage. Yeah. And so, this is the other thing I want to say. So, from yoga. And I got this as a young kid. My parents would take me when I was pretty small, starting pretty young, to India. We'd go every year or two, go travel different ashrams, hang out with different yoga master people and all that. And I would, there's certain things I learned, and certain things I learned that I was like, I don't want to be like one of those people. And then there's some other things, though, that really just as a kid even, I was like, wow, there's just some eternal truth. And one of those things, is that human beings are totally malleable. Like, human beings and life, totally malleable, always changing. The word for that in Sanskrit is anicca, impermanence, like always changing. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, I forget the first part of this quote, but it's something to be in that which is changeless amidst change. So there's always change, and there's a place to be in ourselves that is changeless, and that changeless place is always malleable. Like Thoreau said, the only thing that never stops changing is change. And if we know that on some level, if we get rigid around change all the time, we want to have everything controlled in a certain way, that's the fixed. Like that's rigid. So, and then we can do our poses like that. So what I'm pointing to here is the possibility of malleability. Freedom and play, play with the edges, or jump over the edge. A way of saying what I'm saying is, coloring inside of the lines. And then maybe when we say, okay, color outside of the lines in your poses, maybe you'll do a little scribble outside, but you're really clear about keeping in the lines. Versus just, okay, there are no lines. And you're just you're changing poses, changing forms, and you're in a place that's changeless, so it's not about form. You're dealing with the substance of the poses, and you're encouraged. So you're in, what I'm pointing to here is discovery, and discovering for yourself what's possible. I'm speaking to the first principle of organizing principles, of be up to something bigger than yourself. Like, what's it going to take? What kind of attitude or the paradigm, the view to just be with the practice is playful and malleable, and consider that you're totally, as a human being, malleable. Life is malleable, but the mind is not. That's where it gets tricky, yeah? So life's malleable, you're malleable, and then you have an attitude, some belief that it's not malleable, fixed, rigid. So I'm saying all this just to give some context of a place to play from. Because what I want to presence for today is from the inside out to the world, so from a place to come from in your practice. And to no lines, or you're present to the lines and coloring outside of the lines. Like that. And the presence, the integration, the integrity of true north alignment. First organizing principle, be intentional. You're present to true north alignment, and the integration gives you access to safely play and go beyond the borders, go beyond the usual boundaries. So I don't want you to hear this as be foolish and do foolish things in your body, push too hard, because I'm not talking about form, because this will look totally different for each and every one of us. Pushing the boundary, what is that though? What does that mean? Going beyond, what does it mean for you? Okay, I'll say one last thing about play, and then we're going to move into some action. Play, so I'm presencing play here different than fun. Often when we hear play, oh, fun. But I want us to just present play as something creative, just it's just play with it. Okay, I play with it this way, and what happens if I play with it this way? What's that like? Oh, and what happens? I play with this, like this, and you see kids just building things and like that, and there's then a joy that emerges, a natural joy that emerges out of being creative like that. But I just wanted to say different than fun, because it doesn't have to be fun per se, but my experience is when you're at play, fun emerges. You get that? Yeah, but not attached to fun, because then it turns into, let's just put on music and, dance. But I'm saying to be in a process of discovery here, in our bodies, in our experience, discover a way of being, a new way of being, beyond just one way we already have, because what we already have on our mat and doing a pose or the practice, we already have that. Yeah, so to open up to what we don't have. A few years ago, I was at an airport, and I sort of always remember this because I've told this story, because it just hit me. I was in the airport and waiting to board my flight, and there were a couple little kids. They were like 4 or 5, pretty small, and they were playing over in the corner. And I just happened to be sitting up, and the mom, I heard the mom, she came yelling and walking over, kind of yelling, but she comes over and she goes to her kids, "Why are you playing? We're gonna board the flight. Why are you playing?" And this little boy looked kind of deer in headlights, and he was like, "Why are we playing? Why are we playing?" And he looked at his little sister "Why are we playing?" And their mom, they didn't even know why. We're just playing. It's what we do. I was like, whoa, yeah, that's like play. It's just, in it, and there's no why about it. Just playing for play's sake. And whether, they get into it with each other, kids, they get into it, but they're still playing, or they're having fun and laughing, they're playing. It has all the qualities and emotions. Whether crying, laughing, playing, it's just all play inside of play. And play for play's sake.